Yo, JD here, Limitless, and we are back with a new F1 Esports video, and this is round 11 at the USA Circuit of the Americas. And coming into this, we needed to outscore Red Bull to stay within a possibility of even winning this championship. And you may look on the screen here why I've actually zoomed in on this, and if anyone can guess why, then feel free to comment down below. And we're showing both POVs of both drivers, which is Simon Weigang and Jarno Opmeer, on board with Simon now. And we qualified P6, P9 in this, so again, not an optimal qualifying by any means or stretch whatsoever. But yeah, basically we need to outscore Red Bull by a significant amount of points to still be in the fight for this championship. And Ferrari only about 2 points ahead of us in this championship, so it's all to play for. A little bit out of position here. I was right on board with Simon, and we also got Jarno in the top right hand side as well. And Simon is starting on a soft tyre, gets a reasonable start. Jarno opts for the medium strategy, which again, we felt as a team this was definitely worth it, because a lot of people will be on the softs in front. And Simon gets a pretty decent start. I think Jarno has maintained position as well. So far so good from both drivers, but if you just focus on Simon for this, because he did a very good first lap here, you'll be able to see Berezne actually goes out wide in the Alfa Romeo. Him and Lee, the top two from last season, making a little bit of contact. That gives Simon a little bit of an opportunity, takes it with full force, and then going down the inside of Brendan Lee. As I said before, the top two from last year's championship, very bold move, actually pushing him out wide slightly. And now up to P4 from P6 on the grid, so a very good start from him. And I was saying to the radio, just try and hold the position. A great start, just try and hold it as much as possible. But Lee, very determined, going back down the inside with Berezne right behind. And Jarno trying to put some moves on as well, but maintaining position quite nicely on the softs here. And that is pretty much them done really for the first lap. And I think Jarno's just trying to defend from Weiss, or I think that is, who's that in front? If I can even read that correctly, I think that's Caraton in front. But both drivers maintain position very well. And I was just saying to Simon at this point, great start, just stay with him now, stay in the DRS, and you've got a very good chance of a good result. But Jarno was saying to him, a very good start to him also. All he needs to do is just stay relatively close to this field. If he can do that, which you can see here, actually, which he is behind Caraton, trying to go down the inside. I think that's Holzman as well. But if he can stay relatively close to the leaders, it's going to be very similar to what we saw at Germany before, where he won that race. He's going to be in a great chance to get some very good points. And as I said, adopting this strategy, you kind of really need to do that, because if you start on the softs, it's so hard to overtake in esports, because most of the time there's a DRS train. So there's really no point in doing that. So if he could maintain position, I think with the leading medium runner as well, if he could stay relatively close to these guys, because their tyres go off after about 3 to 5 laps is when they really start to go off a little bit. As you can move back on board with Simon now, no real threat from behind with Brendan in front. He's in a very good position. So as I said, just keep calm, just make sure you stay within the DRS zone, and you're going to have a very nice race. But moving back to Jarno here, as I was saying to him as well, just keep calm and just try and stay within the DRS zone of the soft runners in front, because we can see how powerful it is going on softs towards the end of the race. It's almost, for the first few laps, there's about a second advantage. So he's one of the best at staying on this compounder tyre. It's very difficult to keep up the pace on this compounder tyre. And we've got Bolabasi behind as well, Chen, who are probably not best friends on track. They had a couple of incidents this year as well, so it's very important now. I was just saying to him to just stay in the DRS of Alvaro in front. If he can do that, it's going to really protect him from the cars behind. And so far both drivers are doing an absolutely fantastic job. As Simon here again saying over the radio, just making sure you stay with him. Simon was so quick through this first sector here. He always is going purple through anyone in practice and in qualifying as well. And you can see how much time he's just made up. He's made up a lot of time in Brendan Lee, and really keeping Berezne at ease behind him as well, which is pretty difficult, because I know Berezne really likes his track. And yeah, fighting for the lead pretty much, as Rasmussen's I think he's got a little bit of a gap, so I actually think he's out of DRS zone. But moving back to Jarno here, coming under a little bit more pressure from Chen behind him. And luckily, you can see here, he is in the DRS zone, so this should really protect him from the Toro Rosso behind. Put it back down to no ERS and lean as well, just trying to reserve that as much as possible. But I was just saying to him here, like, another couple of laps, then the guys in front on the softs, their tyres should start to be off, and you should start to be getting slightly better traction in them. So if you could just hang on for another lap or 2 laps, then you are in a very good place to not just get big points, but to possibly win this race, or at very least get a podium. And you can see Simon driving extremely well as Jarno is continuing, actually going long into the race, of course. And let's look here, Simon coming into the pits. What tyre is he going to go on? Should be the medium tyre. Coming into it now, and yeah, it's put him on the hard tyre compound. And with a 25% race, that is effectively pretty much race over. And if you didn't guess what the reason why I paused that screen at the beginning of the video, is because unfortunately we didn't select the tyre strategy correctly, where you have to firmly press A, because you would assume it would put you on mediums, but the game, if you don't select that tyre strategy, you either have to manually change it yourself with the MFD, or you have to select it in the pre-menu options section. And obviously Simon was very, very gutted at this point, and I was incredibly gutted for him because he was driving an absolutely superb race. And I just said to him, look, the only thing you can do now is just get the maximum result possible. I know what tyre compound you're on, but just do everything you can to just fight for every single position. And you never know, something could happen in front of you. There could be, I don't know if the safety car's actually turned on. I don't think it is in this series, but you never know what can happen in front of you. As Perez now, you can see on those medium tyres, just cruises past him. It's pretty much indefensible, really. And I just said, just try and stick with him, get your head down, and just do the maximum you can now. There's nothing you can do. You just got to focus on the task ahead. Meanwhile, with Jarno, is keeping with the soft runners very, very nicely. As you can see, they have actually pitted. So they pit lap 3 to 5 is the window of the softs. And, the mediums, they're going to come out on mediums, but they shouldn't get a massive undercut on Jarno, because Jarno, as we saw with Germany, probably one of the best, well, is one of the best in the world at keeping these tyres in check whilst maintaining a terrifying pace. So, but you can see on Simon's screen here, you can just see the power of the tyre compound difference, which is, it's very, very sad to see. And it's something that can happen. I think it's happened to me, it's happened to many other people. It's very, very gutting, because he really didn't deserve that himself, and he was driving a superb race that first lap, just showing what his real potential actually is, which is just a massive shame. But Jarno now, he's actually the race leader, not the net race leader, but he is the race leader. And we've still got Shen behind him, who hasn't pitted yet, so just trying to make sure that he does not have any opportunity to get past us. He's closing in very, very quickly, but I don't think he's going to be in a position to overtake. And I was just saying to him now, you can see by the white arrows that he should be having much better traction. But moving on board with Simon here, let's see what kind of traction he gets, and you can just see how much faster they are on the straight. And we've got Joni Tomola in the Red Bull, so it's very important that we try and actually keep him behind for Red Bull. We don't want to get him, or make sure he doesn't get any points whatsoever. But Jarno here, I was saying Chem's probably most likely going to be pitting this lap, so just making sure we keep it on track, beware of the track limits and everything like that. Just try and conserve your fuel and ERS as much as possible. And he should be pitting here. So coming around the penultimate corner, we can see that Shem has actually gone into the pits now. And now we've got Bono Huis, or House. Again, terrible with names, but we can see the gap is about 2 seconds behind. So it's kind of in a difficult position, because you just don't want to be held up in the pits whatsoever. So I was just saying, just try and get your foot down, and just remember, the laps you do here could make all the difference towards the end of the race, because we're scheduled to pit towards the end of lap 9, or either lap 9 or lap 10, depending on what the race situation is going. And so far, it's pretty much a perfect race situation. Other than what Simon unfortunately went on the wrong tyres, it's been a perfect execution. And we just got to keep our head down. And these are the laps that win you the race. These are the laps that can get you the big points. And these are the hardest laps to do, because you have no one to chase or anything at all. But to keep the motivation going, I always try and talk over the radio, just at least 1 point per lap. So probably around here, I'll be telling him what the lap times of Tinitsa, Rasmussen, Beresne and Lee, or what times they are doing, to give him some encouragement and really kind of a lap time to aim for. So you can see here, he's giving it absolutely full beans, because you can really push these tyres without the risk of overheating or anything whatsoever. But the gap behind, Bono is driving extremely well. He's been very impressive this season, I have to say, considering he hasn't, on this game, this is not really his forte. I know he's put a lot of time into it, but he's been very impressive. So this pace is still good though, comparing to what the likes of the other guys have already pitted on the medium tyre. Since the races are so short, you're not going to get a massive advantage through the undercut or anything, because it's only going to be a max about 3 to 5 laps at the very least. You can see Simon coming through the Ponset corner. You can see how much time he has lost, which is just being on these tyres. And trying to encourage him throughout this race. Didn't really do too much talking, because I think he, it's not really necessary at this point. I think he knows what he really has to do. I just said, just keep your head down. You never know what happens. You never know if there's any penalties or any incidents in front of you. You absolutely never know. So just give it your all, and that's all you can do at this point in the race. But Jarno here again, probably not going to say anything before this corner, but on the exit of this corner, just updating him on the lap times of what the other guys are doing, and just letting them know that we have a real chance of still winning this race, if not at the podium at the very least. I think now he's starting to pull a little gap between himself and Bono and Sally. It's us 3 guys only, I think, who haven't actually pitted. I think there might be a couple more behind him on the mediums as well, but it's mainly us 3 guys. And let's see what the gap is, 2.1, so it's only gone up a tenth, which again just showing this pace is very good. Bono doing an excellent job behind. And to be honest, if the gap is under 2.5 seconds, I was saying to him, don't really worry about it too much, because you most likely won't get held from this. We'll probably have more of a threat being held from Sully instead, because his pit box is actually past ours. So I'll just still give him encouragement, just always updating him on the lap times, just either in this straight or in the main straight itself. And we could possibly be pitting this up. I think trying to extend it as much as possible is really beneficial. You just get that extra power. And I was saying to him that the guys on the mediums are actually starting to battle just a little bit, which is actually really helping us. We're not actually losing really that much time, like whatsoever. But moving on back on board with Simon, you can see we're currently in P12. A few people have pitted in front of him already. There's still a few more people to pit, but he's actually coming under pressure a little bit more from Johnny Tomler. And again, I was just saying to him, it's very important, just try and make it just as difficult as you can, obviously not to get any damage or penalties or anything, but just try and not make it super easy for him to get past, and not hold him up in this section. But it's important that he doesn't really get any points for the championship himself. But to be honest, with him being on that compound tyre, the difference in grip between the mediums and hards is pretty much night and day. The hards are just designed to go on forever. The mediums are just a much faster, about a second of that quicker. And you can see with this slipstream, we've hardly got any ERS. I basically just said there's no point really. There's no ERS. Just try and stay with him, and use him to reserve your ERS and fuel, and just try and get something out of this race if you can. That's all you can do at this point. But moving back on board with Jarno, originally if there was a deficit to the guys already pitted, if we were quite far behind them before they pitted, we would have gone in this lap, which you can see Bono has actually gone in that lap as well, but Sully, the Alfa Romeo, has continued. So we decided to go on for an extra lap, because I felt we were in a really good position. So I said, let's just go for another lap and see what we can do itself. But moving on board with Simon, you see there's going to be some cars coming out the pits now, and let's see where he emerges. So he's coming in P12, got past the McLaren of Bono, but he's going back down the inside and going to turn 1. And I was just saying to him, just do everything you can. It's important that we not hold him up, but just not make it nice and flowing for him, because he could possibly maybe even undercut Jarno. So we're just trying to help Jarno out just a little bit, of just not being a bus or roadblock or anything, but just not making it too easy for him in this section. You can see Simon's doing an excellent job at doing that. But this is a very important lap for Jarno, because we actually have the Alfa Romeo in a window where he could possibly be holding us up in the pits. So I was saying, got to give it absolutely everything now, because there's quite a good chance we could possibly be held up. Although the pit stop's only 2.5 seconds, you forget the count of slowing down and coming out again as well. So realistically, it's around about 5 seconds when you could possibly be held up. So he's really pushing very, very hard, throwing it into this penultimate corner, leaving nothing on the table. And this, as you can see, getting a track limit warning in consequence of doing that, and going into the pit box, leaving nothing on the table whatsoever. And you saw in the other clip there, Bono getting past Simon on the softs against the hards. Again, nothing he could do there. He did the best he could. Now we are going to go on the softs, and we have just come out ahead of Sally in the Alfa Romeo. That was absolutely crucial for a race, and credit to Jarno with that in-lap and coming into the pits. That made all the difference there. Coming out in P8 with not much traffic at all, and you can see on board Simon, you can see Jarno's come out ahead of him, just showing the difference in compound of tyre, which again is just, it's heartbreaking to see, because he just didn't deserve that at all. But now we are going to stay on board, obviously, for the rest of this race, the full race here. And this is where we're going to try and do another Suzuka. Not quite a Germany, because Germany came out in like P4 or something like that. But we've got some time to track down now. But luckily we've got a bit of a group. Rasmussen has pulled away a little bit. I think he's just not lapping, but overtaking the second Ferrari, who hasn't pitted. I think that's the only car that hasn't pitted at this point. But you've got Rasmussen, and you've got that little gap to the second McLaren of Enzo Benito, and that's what we were really aiming for. And I was saying to him, you've got a very good chance of getting top 2 in this race here. And so just give it everything you can. You've only got one warning, got plenty of EOS, plenty of fuel to play with as well. And you can see already he's actually gone purple. And with Simon doing a very, very good job whilst Huis was behind him, would have no threat from behind whatsoever. So now we're going to see the real true pace of Jarno, and on this soft tyre how OP it can really be. You can see here drivers were allowed to go out wide there. That was discussed in the drivers briefing. They were actually allowed to go out wide like they do in real life, and the game doesn't really penalise you for it. And you can see Huis setting the purple lap, and let's see here with Simon back on board with him, we've got Sully actually behind him. So he's been not held up, but he's lost quite a bit of time to Jarno in the pits here. He goes down the inside of Simon, and again, nothing really he could do there. He was eventually going to get past him sooner or later. There's nothing he could do, and no point really destroying his race to try and cause damage or anything like that. But moving back on board with Jarno here, he's already caught up to Alvaro Carreton in the Williams, who's doing a very, very nice job actually. In fact, he's had a good race, or he's had a good event so far. He got pole in Suzuka, I think he got a top 6 there, and he's still in another top 6 position currently at the moment. Probably a little bit too far back, but right now no pressure from behind whatsoever. So I said to Jarno, ideally I don't want to be doing too much talking, because the drivers, they know what they're doing, and that's literally what I said. I said, you know what to do, you know when to go for it, when not to go for it. Just do you, just express yourself, and just do what you have to do. Just try not to put pressure on him about talking about the championship or anything like that. That's a little bit unnecessary, because we're all aware of what we really need to do. So I'm just said, just race, remember to keep it clean, and just do what you do. That's pretty much the message I was saying at this point in the race. So not going to go down the inside here, using all of the track. Very few drivers actually do that. Getting a very good exit with these soft tyres, moving up to hot lap, then overtake, then Rich. But he has got DRS, and you can see he's not really defending too much. He'll go down the inside here, and with the difference of these compounds of tyre, very smart play from Alvaro there. I think if they ended up battling, he'd probably lose DRS to the guys ahead of him. So he decided to let Jarno go just so he could maintain the DRS. And now look how quickly we are coming up to the back of Daniel Beresne, just showing these tyres, just how good they really, really are. And it's just crucial that we try and get past him as soon as possible, because there's only 2 laps of this race to go, and we're in P6 here. So just focusing on getting a very, very nice exit, which he does get a relatively good exit. But we are closer to Beresne as he lags a little bit. Well, I was going to say we were closer to him, but probably not close enough down this main straight here. And let's see, no, definitely not close enough. So very, very late on the brakes. Let's see if he gets a good exit come off here. probably not going to go on the inside of this one, a pretty tricky corner to do so, but you can see how much he's literally almost pushing round here and going into the double left. There's a little bit of window of opportunity and he goes down the inside, and fair play to Daniel, didn't defend that 100% but didn't make it easy at the same time, and that has moved into 5th place from P9 this race. I think I'd love to know who's done the most overtakes this season, because I think some of our drivers would probably be up there on the most overtakes, which ideally we want to change next season. Next season we'd rather be qualifying on pole or top 3 all the time rather than doing this all overtaking, but luckily all our drivers know how to overtake. Going into turn 1, you can see just on the brakes and stuff as well, just how much more grip we have these tyres to slow down. And this is the battle for P2. Rasmussen, like he did at Suzuka, has just got the gap and just pumped in the laps he needed to do. But no, we're fighting with Ferrari and Red Bull. We want to get some big points here, and we knew there were some risks worth taking in this race. And I just said, if you want to have a chance at Tunisia, you really gonna have to get past Brendan on this lap. If it's not this lap, it's you're probably not going to get that Ferrari at all, which you said copy to. So getting a very good exit come off here now. We're very, very close to him, and let's see what the straight line speed is. It looks like we have some pretty good straight line speed, but Brendan isn't defending just yet, as now he starts to defend using his experience, obviously being the 2-time esports champion, which makes him go on the back foot into this corner, leaving us just enough room. And now we're going to try and do another Bresnay. We're right behind him now, going to this double left, forcing down the inside, actually making contact with him as well, actually pushing him a little bit out the way. And it's a tough decision here, but on the radio I didn't say anything about that at all. I wanted him to focus on getting this Ferrari. This is what we want. We want to get as high up in the championship as possible to try and beat Red Bull, try and beat Ferrari as well. So after that little incident, I didn't say give the position back or anything. I just said, okay, just focus on trying to get Tunisia, and that's what we're trying to do in this last lap now. So trying to get a very nice exit off here. The tyres are still in relatively good condition. However, Tunisia does have DRS with Benito, which could really be his saving grace on this last lap. So I just said try and get as close to him as possible coming onto this main straight. Just get right under his gearbox, force him into defending, because Tunisia is a very, very fair driver. So very important we get a nice exit, but we're not that close enough at this point. So braking very, very late into this corner. Let's see if we can get some good traction off here, which I think we do. We get some reasonably good traction. However, I don't know if we're going to be close enough to make a move down the end of the straight, because he does have DRS. But luckily we have no threat from behind whatsoever. And let's have a look here. Tunisia is going either semi-defensive, or he's just trying to have a look on Benito. But that's actually compromised him a little bit. So he's going fully defensive because he's fully aware of what the stakes are in this championship. So let's see if we can try and do a repeat move, going down the inside and not quite pulling off this time. I think that was a half-measured move, not a fully committed move, like we did on Lee and Bresnay before. But we've only got 2 corners to go. Going for this penultimate corner, looks like Tunisia's done quite a decent corner. There's no way we'll go overtake him going to here. Let's see if we can get a nice exit up here. We're very, very close with the DRS crossing the line. And we come home in P3 because Tunisia actually had a 3-second time penalty. So that actually puts us on the podium. But unfortunately for Simon, crossing a line, he comes home in P14 outside the points, which, no, I was absolutely gutted for him because he drove such a good qualifying, such a good race, apart from that tyre strategy. Yeah, very, very gutted for him, but he should still be very proud of his performance. And Jarno, a great comeback, which he's done many times this season, putting us in P3 and P14. However, that incident with Lee actually gave him a 1-second penalty, which put him down to P4 in the end. So we still got more points than Ferrari. But in this race, with Rasmussen winning, that meant that Red Bull actually won the Constructors' Championship because they outscored us, which is a great shame, but I think you can't really argue they don't deserve it. They've done a very, very consistent good season. But it's still all to fight for with Ferrari going into the very, very last race. As always, I really hope you have enjoyed this series. Thank you so much for the support of myself, my drivers, Renault and Team Vitality. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you for the next video. Peace.